Okay, let's check the old video game projects. I am in my pretty old, very good computer. It has a pretty good screen. It has camera, and I'm looking at what they did in this computer. Let's say during the last few months. So I think this one is a tutorial about how to make menus in game. So it has like these buttons and text on these buttons. So for a beginner it is quite complicated. Like how do I put these buttons, like what is that? But for a more advanced game designer, game developer, it's pretty simple. There's this possibility to just do those buttons and put them in game, like it's like a clickable button. So what else was here? It's mostly education nowadays here. Switching rooms, effects. Yeah. Um, I'm looking at the game maker projects. Let's also check the Godot ones. If you go to game development circle and start talking to people nowadays here in my area, they mostly start from Godot. They don't go as simple as game maker does. They start with programming languages. Yeah, so they don't go to the really small child level. They already start from more advanced, and I don't do much there. I don't have this huge studio project together with many grown-ups to actually show here. There's like completed tutorial or something. Yeah, so I just could complete this tutorial about how to make this type of platformer. Really, what I was afraid of, that people, the students, kids, start saying like this isn't, like the camera isn't correct and the camera should follow it perfectly. The thing is, I don't care about that. You can, well, if you put the camera elsewhere, you will have this problem that it doesn't turn around correctly. So in that sense, the camera isn't perfect. It isn't finished in this tutorial. So if you mess around with the camera too much, it will like turn the sprite wrong. So it will not be correct movement. Yeah, but I'm not interested in that, how to actually make a really good 3D action RPG where the camera is like switching in fight, and then it turns to the enemy in fight. I'm not doing that. It's like I'm not interested in that at the moment to provide a full game. So I don't have much actually in this old computer. Uh, there isn't much. To show. Let's switch to some really old stuff. When I started the game dev workshop in schools, there's this kids have been doing this stuff here, like backgrounds and stuff. So the thing with kids is they do this really big background before I can tell them to make separate sprites for the walls. They always do this really big background and tell now use these walls in the game. But it's more wise to actually make separate walls and then draw it with these objects, because otherwise it runs into many problems. Here you actually can't switch it anymore if it's like a one piece, the whole thing. Yeah. So there are some things that the player can pick, and it's mostly like about moving around, picking objects and background. And with background we already have this problem that they make it in one piece, so there's also this enemy coming after us, and we can pick the bananas or something. So this is what happens. This is very far in the past. Yeah, it's quite simple thing, and many people have used this computer. So there's many stuff here. What I personally would like to do in the future is continue with these workshops, but I'm also like into programming and also into sports. So the thing is, some people who aren't in communications, who aren't in game development, they very often try to sell stuff here that isn't suitable for me actually, like a brand new solo computer or brand new solo phone that will somehow miraculously solve my whatever. But I have it 10 computers, so, and all of them I can use for work, so it isn't quite wise to actually buy a brand new one to solve it, because there is nothing to solve. I have like 10 times that already, and with phone also there is no need for a new device. I just bought a new device. So if you're not in the communications industry, it's quite hard to make a good offer, I guess. Like, well, what would he love to do? And I'm not going to spend my money on computer 11, because the amount of people is also reduced in the workshop. There was like 12 people, two of them who were not registered or something, and now it's like 7. So workload is smaller. There's not so many people who shouldn't be there. Is more like there are people who want to be there and who actually enjoy being there and want to do this game development. So it's full of them now, and those who have less interest, those have already completed it or gone elsewhere. So I'm not that person to do whatever stuff alone on a single device. I always do cross device on many devices. So this one I remember. It's about tutorial how to make the enemies. That enemy will start following a path, so it's like built-in stuff, built-in path. So it has this preset movement. I don't have much here. Why I use this older computer is it has the camera. Not all of my laptops have a camera or a good camera. So yeah, I just don't have that big solo dev project at all anymore anyway, so I don't need that solo device. Many people in game dev, especially those who post on YouTube and stuff, they have projects. They are making projects actually. It's not just I don't think they would lie that they are doing huge projects. they actually seem to do projects like real game dev projects, and then they actually share about those projects. But I have zero projects also. I only work as a teacher, as a teaching kids. I'm coaching, teaching. So I don't have this solo project at all. So I don't need a powerful solo machine. It's too expensive to buy that just to test out some new graphic and games. And also, I'm not that interested in these graphical games, like where it needs a lot of CPU and a lot of memory to show intense visuals fast. I'm not that interested in those games. I'm more like interested in text games and efficient games. You know what I mean? Where it takes a little CPU to run the whole game, and the result is still good. So I mean, a little bit more interested maybe in efficiency. Like, how do these companies make it so efficient? This is like my bigger question, I guess. Not like how can I get this expensive home gaming computer to finally be able to play those high-end graphical games. I'm not there. I'm more like interested how they create this efficiency, how this work is very fast in very short period of time, and how it doesn't take resources also. Because if you have been to programming, dependencies and depending on somebody or something is really a mistake. Like if you depend on too many people, or if you depend on one device, it's like a mistake. Because as a programmer, then you're stuck. If that goes broke, your whole program is broke. So, but if you are flexible, if you're able to use any device, any engine, I have learned Godot. Also, not so I now know Godot and GameMaker, and I also know Python a little bit. So I have more flexibility. So let's say something happens, this GameMaker software is no longer produced. I still can like use Godot or C++ or Python, or let's say something happens and the Microsoft isn't doing Windows systems anymore. I can go to Linux. I can use this Godot like default Pygame, so I can still do awesome stuff with computers. So it's like it's really good to have this safety of these workarounds. It's not like that these companies would stop working. They don't. They can always make new ones that are better and better and better. But it's still good to have those other things possible also. When I was at the unemployment center going through the education, and I was presenting my business idea, game development workshops with Game Maker Studio for small kids in schools, then somebody raised hand and said like, yeah, but what if this software goes broken? They don't give you the software anymore. How can you bypass this error? And I said, really good question. I don't know yet. But now we can use Godot now, and I have many backups of Game Maker Studio. So I have managed to go beyond this obstacle. So sometimes we were stuck because of lack of knowledge, lack of contracts, or being too dependent. But we can also like move on. Yeah. So, and it isn't problem if somebody is stuck at seemingly very simple level. Like here I have this room switching example. It isn't a problem. Like if he touches the door, it switches the room. So as a teacher, I don't go there. I don't pick people based on their skill in game development. It's more like the more beginner a person is, it's more better actually creative wise, because then they just think, wow, a screen, a computer, I want to do something, I want to make this animation to impress somebody, I want to make those sounds. So it's like this enthusiasm is sometimes even bigger and than other. There are people like, you write code too slow, what are you doing? So they don't have that, they just are amazed by a screen, by a computer. So, I'm taking a different direction, introducing laptops, and yeah, here's this laptop. If you want, you can use it. It's for you.